Okay, welcome everyone. I have a special guest here today. We're going to be doing a podcast. A lot of what we're going to be talking about is Throne Liberty, but we're also going to be talking about this man over here. Some of you guys may know who he is. If you follow MMO content, well, if you follow me, you're obviously following MMO content. If you're following MMO content, you should know who this man is, Mr. Lazy Peon. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So if you've been living under a rock in the MMO scene and you don't know who this is, Lazy Peon, would you mind giving us a quick intro?
Your mic's cut out.
Oh, my mic's cut out?
Yeah.
Is it?
I can hear you now. It just cut out for like 2 seconds.
Oh, okay. What was it cut off for Twitch as well? Chat?
I don't know.
Okay. You're good. We're good now, right? Though
it's good now. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
It cut out just as I think you was gonna ask something. So.
Oh, okay. So I was just saying for people that may not know who you are, if they've been living under a rock, could you give us a brief introduction, who you are and where we can find you?
So I'm the Lazy Peon on YouTube. I've been covering MMOs for 10 years now, which is crazy. I think like my first year on YouTube, I was like a World of Warcraft content creator. And I kind of lost the passion with WoW around Warlords of Draenor. So then I started a series called Is It Worth Playing? And I'd basically just try every single MMO. And that's been going on for so long now. We're actually at the point where I'm really struggling for content, as you can imagine, covering MMOs for such a long time. But yeah, mostly just do the YouTube stuff. I don't really stream too much. I don't know why. I just prefer making videos, I guess. That's pretty much it.
Okay, yeah, I was actually going to ask you that because you've got a really big platform on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure if you turn on a Twitch stream, especially if you stick with it throughout a certain period of time, I feel like you would definitely kill it on Twitch. Is it just you don't like to live stream? It's too much work for YouTube? Because trust me, I get it. It's a lot of work on YouTube. It's a lot.
I think what it is, I know that if I did stream and I did stream regularly, I think it would do well. And the few times that I have streamed, it's pulled like decent numbers. But I actually feel like streaming is just harder work than YouTube, to be perfectly honest. It's much more of a time commitment. To build a stream, it seems like you need to be consistent and you need to have a schedule. Two things that I'm really bad at. I hate working to a schedule. I hate waking up at a certain time. I like to do things on my own watch. So that's why YouTube videos are kind of perfect for me.
Yeah, that's good. It's kind of funny you mentioned that it's tough to find games that you're playing, which by the way, I love your series. I've been following your content way before I was even doing content creating myself. I'm an MMO guy. I love MMOs. You love MMOs. Everyone in my audience loves MMOs. And your channel was always like the go-to channel when it comes to learning about games. I would always check it out. And it's funny that you say that it's tough to get content out right now because so for me, I also want to do MMO content, right? Like I want to cover every MMO. I'm very much known, I'm pretty sure I am very much known as like an Asian/Korean MMO guy. And I'm just like, well, the only MMO I don't really touch is WoW. I try to cover everything else. And it's like, I'm kind of this Korean MMO guy because that's the only place where MMOs are being developed. Yeah. So I totally get it. But is there any MMO that you're excited for? I know you're excited for Ashes. Is there anything else?
To be honest, I'm genuinely excited about playing Throne Liberty at the moment. Like, I see myself playing this game for the foreseeable future. Now that I've found a guild, we'll get into all of this later. I'm sure, like into the specifics. But this game's just given me the same vibes that I had when I was really addicted to BDO. Like in 2017, I was obsessed with BDO, so much so that it was like hurting my YouTube career.
Really? How so? Like you just.
I think with Asian MMOs, they're generally quite a niche audience, right? So if you really start to, for someone like me that covers lots of different MMOs, a lot of people, if I enjoy these games and I publicly say that I really love these games, I will get a lot of people write negative comments, even if the video is positive, because they like hate the monetization behind the game, and they just kind of hate like the general game design. So you kind of need to balance it, I think.
Yeah,
But other
yeah,
than
I get
that,
that. Yeah.
But other than that, I've been super addicted to old school RuneScape the past like 3 or 4 months. I think I've put like 1,000 hours into it in 4 months because I started Iron Man mode, which is
Ooh.
unbelievably addictive. It was like the first time I've ever tried Iron Man. It's basically where you do everything solo self-found, and the sense of progression from that game's unbelievable. I don't know if you've played much RuneScape.
I actually have not, but I did recently in the past year. I did recently play solo self found. I did with a partner, so it was me and a guy named Darth Microtransaction. We played it together. He's got a big background or history rather experience in RuneScape, and I could definitely see the appeal. I was like,
Yeah.
at first I was like, what am I doing killing these fucking chickens? Like, what is it? You're telling me to go get this rocket and kick a chicken or some shit? I was so confused. It was, and after I played it for a little while, I could certainly see the appeal to it.
Yeah, like for someone that if you don't play RuneScape and you're like just looking at it as a new person, it looks so stupid. Like the graphics look awful. You're brand new to the game, you'll think, oh, it's a fucking point and click game
Yeah.
in 2024. But it's like the game design behind RuneScape, it's so unique that I'm actually baffled that other games don't copy the way it's designed. It's like you've got theme park MMOs over here, and they kind of follow a similar formula. Then you've got sandbox MMOs, and then you've got RuneScape, which in terms of game design, it's in its own category. I haven't really seen many games designed that way. And you like RuneScape players will understand what I'm talking about, but people that haven't played it, it'll be a bit hard to wrap their head around.
Okay. So I do want to, I mean, I feel like I could talk video games with you for like 7 hours, but
Yeah.
before we dive into some more of the video game talk and throne talk, I do want to talk to you a little bit about more of your personal side. As far as I know, you live in Thailand, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
5 years now.
What by the way, I don't know if you know this. I lived in Thailand myself for a year. I
Oh,
lived
really?
in Bangkok. Yes, I lived in Bangkok.
Nice.
I even remember the street. Rum Kum Hang Si Sip Si was the road that I lived on. Rum Kum Hangs. And I love after I went to Thailand, I loved it, and I went back every year minus the COVID years. I might actually go back in January. Would love to hang out if
sounds
you're
good.
down. But yeah, what got you to move to Thailand, and would you mind sharing maybe a little bit of your personal life story?
So the reason was I was prior to Thailand, I lived in the Netherlands for 2 years because I had a Dutch girlfriend. We was together for a while. I moved to the Netherlands, and after we kind of broke up, and I like went to like meetups for other expats that were living in the Netherlands. And one day someone said to me, "You work online. You can move anywhere in the world. Why are you living in the Netherlands?" He said, "Why don't you go somewhere like Thailand?" He literally just mentioned the word Thailand,
Yeah.
and I thought,
Okay, let's go. I'm gonna leave it tomorrow.
yeah, it just kind of it sent me on a rabbit hole because like living in the Netherlands at the time, it was quite expensive. Like the taxes were really high, and I thought, yeah, maybe I need something new. I looked into it. I looked at the cost of living. It was the cost of living that really got me excited because you can get so much more for your money compared to the West.
Yeah.
The current place I'm living in is like a 400 square foot penthouse condo, and it
Ooh.
costs $2,000 a month.
Wow.
Sea view.
So I'm moving in.
It's unbelievable. And in London, like in the UK where I'm from, in London that wouldn't get you like a very good size apartment.
Oh,
Maybe you would
yeah.
even struggle to find somewhere in London
Yeah.
for that price. You'd probably be like a roommate for someone. So it's just a really, your money just goes further. And I love that it's got like a 24/7 culture. No joke, the worst thing about living in Thailand is the MMO stuff, is the ping. Because there's such few MMOs that have Southeast Asian servers. Some have servers in Singapore, But most of the time, especially with the Amazon Game Studios MMOs like New World, Lost Ark, Throne Liberty, I'm either connecting to Japan or I'm connecting to Australia.
Mm.
So that's genuinely the worst thing about living here.
Yeah.
It's actually at the point where I was considering moving to Europe for the launch of Ashes of Creation, just so I could play with my friends in EU and have good ping.
Really? No way.
Yeah, but I think
But
Ashes
you're
is gonna have SEA servers when it releases.
but
So
if you do move, bro, but you're gonna be 80 when that release happens. Will you still be able to play?
true.
No, yeah, jokes aside, that's yeah, I definitely get what you mean, because honestly, Peon, that is one of the biggest reasons why I'm not leaving Korea. Because Korea, the standard of living here is a little bit higher, obviously, than Thailand, but it's significantly cheaper than the States. And I go back to the States multiple times a year for whatever sponsor reasons, to visit family and friends, and it is every time I go back, it's just inflation. I feel the inflation more because I'm in Asia. I go back, I'm trying to have a sandwich, $22 plus tip. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then on top
do you
of
have tipping in Korea?
so
Korea,
it's the same as Thailand, where it's like it tips. You don't tip,
it's not
but
expected.
yeah, it's not expected, and you're not an asshole for not giving it. But if you give it, they're like, oh, thank you, like, you know, genuinely happy about it. But no, it's not expected. It's the same way.
Mate, that's straight up the one deal breaker for me ever living in the US, the tipping culture. That one thing alone, that is
Yeah.
enough to make me never want to live there. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. See, I'm American, so like I want to go back home, you know, but it's so like that is probably the biggest thing. And it also helps being in Korea because I get to play Throne and these other games when they come out first, and I get to also play it with like one ping. Like BNS Neo just came out like a couple of days ago, and it's easy for me to play it, and I play it with like one ping. So I definitely get the ping. I actually was playing vanilla Arcade when I lived in Thailand. So I know exactly what the ping feels like for a tab targeting game in Bangkok. It was so bad. Even with exit lag, it was
This
really
actually
bad.
brings me to a question, something I was thinking about earlier. With Korea having such good ping, do you think that Korean MMO devs are overlooking certain bugs that appear with like above like 50 ping, above 100 ping, because they're testing the game within Korea?
I would say 1,000%. Like I think it's very clear that the evidence shows that, and just if you're in Korea and you play with Koreans, and just conversations I've had with game devs. Not that I've had a lot of conversation with Korean game devs here. It's not even considered. You know what I mean? As far as I've seen. So yeah.
So I was thinking this with the grapple hook mechanic in Throne. I feel like if they was playing on just like normal ping, like maybe, I mean, my ping's 90 connecting to Japan with exit lag, which is pretty decent. It's probably like average ping for a lot of people. And that grapple hook bug, it wrecks me so many times. I just think like surely if they were to maybe test the game with a little bit higher ping, they would know how scuffed it feels.
Yeah, I think so. Just so you know, with one ping, the grapple hook, it is for sure better. Like for sure, it's better with one ping. But even with one ping, it's a little janky. Even
really?
with
it's sometimes buggy as well. Like
a little bit.
Like you'll try and cast it and it just won't go off.
Yeah. So like usually when people feel that it's okay, so if you're playing Korea, usually when it's not going off, it comes down to one of two issues. First, which is you don't have stamina and you don't recognize you don't have stamina. So you're like, why isn't it going off? And the other thing is the targeting, because you have to actually hit F on it first, right? Like, because like there's a weird little target. Like if you're targeted to an NPC that's next to it, for example, and then you look at the gravel and you're trying to hit F, it doesn't actually take you to the gravel. It prioritizes the NPC, right? So that like that also, in my opinion, kind of sucks. But so outside of those two things, when you do grapple, it's usually fine. But even with one ping, it gets like sometimes you'll jump and then all of a sudden your dude just like, you know, sinks or something like that. So it's definitely an issue that they have with the game, like that's innate to whatever whatever the core issue is. I don't know what you would even call it, but yeah, it's better, but it's still not great for sure.
I think, like to a certain extent, I can understand why there's certain issues in the game, considering they have, like, clearly the game was designed with mobile in mind, and they have clearly had to transition that. So I think that's a big reason why I wasn't super excited or optimistic for the game, because I thought, in terms of game development, they've built it on a mobile foundation, and I didn't really think that there was a whole lot they could do because the game's been in development for a very long
Mm,
time. I thought it would take ages
I
to
did too.
fix the fundamental issues of just building a game cross-platform for mobile, but they've done a pretty good job so far.
Yes, and one of the so I went to the TL meetup, and it was pretty clear that the what they told us, like even off stream, was like, our goal, like what we're gonna do is we're gonna double down on this game, and we're gonna put more money into it, more marketing. Which, by the way, in Korea, I have been seeing more marketing. And we're gonna continue to try and improve this and really make this a great PC experience. And when I heard that, I was pretty encouraged. And this was before. Wait, was it before the skill specialization? It was around the time of skill specialization. So, like, if you look at the timeline so far, they have been heading in the
Hang on,
direction.
you cut out for the past 6 seconds there.
Oh, really? Shoot.
Yeah, the last word I heard was skill specialization.
Skill specialization. Okay. Am I cutting out on Twitch real quick just to double check? I'm good, right? I think on Twitch, maybe it's just a Discord thing.
It's okay now.
Okay. So yeah, yeah, to rewind. Okay, we're good. Okay. So to rewind, I guess, when we were talking, so it was very clear. I think this was around the time of the skill specialist. It was around the time. I can't remember if it was before or after, but they were pretty much saying, we want to continue to improve this. We're going to double down on this and all that stuff. And if you look at the updates that they've had, it certainly seems to be the case. Obviously, there's still a lot to brush up on. I hate the terrain stuff. I hate the clunkiness. You play Greatsword. I hate Devastating Smash's clunkiness to it and a lot of other stuff. I love the fact. I love one of the things that you mentioned in your video when you're using precision dash. There is a little bit of that delay. It has nothing to do with attack speed. It doesn't. I
had another bug with it the other day. I'm sure this has happened to you countless times. If you was to quickly use a precision dash, you point it in front of you. Sometimes it'll just dash you backwards.
Yeah. Do you know what that is? I actually know why it does that.
I've got something weird with the pathing because I was testing it yesterday.
Yeah. So what it is, and this is so bad, is when your mouse, if your cursor is over an object. So let's say, like, there's a tree. Like your cursor's in front of your character, but let's say there's a tree or something above your character, and that tree is behind you because it's it's high. It's going to register you to go towards that tree and take you backwards. That's what's happening. Yeah. It was killing me too, and I was like, chat, what the fuck is this? And someone in my chat mentioned, they're like, I think it's this, and I tried it. I was like, you're right, it is that. So to avoid it, just try to make sure nothing's above, it's actually on the thing that you're going for, which means sometimes you have to zoom in, but I hate that. Yes, I think that's super, it's so bad.
You would think the way it should work is it would be based on your cursor's position relative to your character's,
yes.
Yeah, like where your character's standing.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, it should be tied to your cursor's position rather than any place in the world.
Yeah. That seems to be the case. I hate that. But they need to they need to clean up that stuff. And in my opinion, if they clean up that clunkiness that's there and they make it feel fluid like WoW and Guild Wars 2, then man, like for me this is like, if we're talking about ice cream, this is like my favorite ice cream then. Because I love the progression systems. I actually really like the classes and just the daily content and whatnot. I don't think it's perfect, and I don't think it's for everyone, but I just personally like that flavor of ice cream. I really get turned off by that clunkiness and the targeting. The targeting is also another huge fucking issue. Yeah, that's been my experience.
I've just really noticed how difficult the targeting is because I've started doing the GVG Riftstone stuff. I didn't realize the targeting is actually different for mobs than it is for players. It's even worse for players. I feel like
it is
so hard to see. Every player in my guild is moaning about the targeting.
It's really bad. I think it's something that we need to continue pushing because, again, to give credit where credit is due, NCSoft has not actually made this game like they haven't gone the whole NCSoft route yet in the 10 months that it's been out with the monetization. Yes, it's 100% pay to win. We don't have to even talk about why it's pay to win. We all know why it's pay to win. You can fucking buy Lucent. It's obviously pay to win, but it's not like it's not like BNS, like Blade and Soul levels, where later on they started adding like these trove boxes and shit like that. You know, it's not like that, and they're very like, even all the patch notes and announcements they'll make, they'll be very more like it would be like an apologetic tone, like we're still trying to win you back tone. Hopefully that continues. So like the changes and updates that they've been putting out have been for the most part really good. And it has been stepping more into the direction, like there's like the UI it's looking more and more different in KR2, like the chat box, even the inventory box. We will get these changes, and it's just getting more and more and more PC-esque, you know, and it's starting to like every month that goes by, it's starting to lose more of that mobile feel, which I think is good. But like, you kind of have to give it a chance for it to get to that point, because exactly what you said, this was originally very much a mobile game design in mind with the autoplay and stuff like that. It's kind of ironic because I would argue Throne might be the least autoplay game for an MMO right now. There's literally nothing. You can't even auto fish. Like, there's nothing about it you can. So yeah, I think we need to definitely continue pushing the quality of life changes, or the clunkiness and the targeting settings, the targeting stuff, because I think that is really a big turnoff with it. Are you using, like, how are you targeting your character? Are you just hitting tab? Are you selecting with your mouse? Or
a lot of the times I'm actually clicking if I need to urgently target someone. In GVG, I'm clicking people.
Yeah.
So something weird with the targeting I noticed, especially like in arena, the target range is really short. You know, like the standard arena, the one where you grapple in. You would think that you would be able to just tab target and just see
cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that. You have to click to see your targets in the arena. That's just so short range.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Only something I've noticed recently.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm also not there's an actual bug with targeting. So there's two big issues with the mouse clicking. The first issue is, in our version right now, we have not gotten this update yet. It's not an option available. It's an option in Korea. Is you take your target on your mouse release. When you click on a target, when you release your mouse, that's when it captures that target. In KR, they have an option to take the target on the press. So that helps. It helps.
Yeah.
The problem with that, though, is that I feel like mobile-esque something, I don't know. But last time I tested it, it could be changed now. Last time I tested it is, even when I stopped using that setting, because when I would right click to pan my mouse, that would register as that click and I would lose my target. And I was like, what the hell is it? So like, this was a little while ago, so I need to go back and check it out. But that setting is there. And the other thing is, I actually have a video of me trying to take a target, and I'm very clearly on the nameplate. And apparently, clicking a target's nameplate is still bugged in a sense where if they're moving around, sometimes the game will actually not register, because you could clearly see me in the video clicking. And the number one Expo Dagger player, who's a fucking huge PvP Chad, he's like my party leader in my flex team, and he was telling me, yeah, like that's been a bug that they haven't been able to fix since day one. And if you really want to be good with targeting and be a little bit more responsive with the targeting, it's better to click on the model itself. But like, dude, that's impossible in the really large scale, you know? Yeah. Like, how do you even do that?
I think that happened to me yesterday, because I was clicking on someone and it wouldn't target. I was raging. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not you. That's the game. That's the game. For a while, I was like, am I just fucking... I'm old, man. I'm pretty old. I'm just like, am I just really... I'm like, I played first-person shooters, pretty decent first-person shooters back in the day. But this is like a huge nameplate. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm clicking this shit. It is not taking the target. Wasn't a big fan. Yeah, like I really hope that they clean up on that type of stuff. But Kind of going back with just, I mean, we're obviously talking about Throne. I want to continue this conversation. Let's kind of rewind back here, because I know you were very critical on Throne Liberty. I thought you made a lot of good points, and there are also a lot of points that I disagree with. But like, and one thing that I reiterated to a lot of people was that, guys, you have to understand that content creators that cover general MMOs, it's not possible for them to put in thousands of hours into each MMO, especially ones that are not released, right? And there is always going to be a certain level of ignorance when it comes to even me when I do a first impressions video. And people are always going to have preconceived, like if I played Terrace Land, and I honestly just didn't think Terrace Land was going to be the game. And I was ignorant to the end game, you know what I mean? But I'm still allowed to have that opinion because it's a first impressions, right? I'm just giving my honest take.
Yeah.
And you had your opinions because you covered Throne. And I honestly thought a lot of those opinions are fair. But you've played the game now, the latest version. Granted, the game has improved quite a bit. And now you say you're completely hooked on the game. Can you kind of walk me through what changed for you and what hooked you? Not so much the negatives, because I do want to talk about that separately. That's going to be kind of the next thing. But just can you walk us through your experience with that?
What got me hooked? So the thing that kind of started getting me hooked was once I got to the end game and I started the end game loop, I could very quickly see that this game wasn't going to be a life-consuming MMO. Like the last Korean MMO I was really addicted to was Black Desert Online. And just playing that game for a long period of time, making any kind of meaningful progression, it's like once you get deeper and deeper into the gear, it's up to hundreds of hours just for a single piece, sometimes for a single attempt, and then
For a
it's
single click,
in the hands of RNG. So I think I was more open to giving Throne a try once I got into the end game, and I could see that, okay, if I want to just maintain my character and keep up, I could probably be consistent and just play for an hour a day, and I will eventually hit the gear cap, and then I'll just be chilling until the next update. That's something very rare for a Korean MMO. Usually Korean MMOs, especially like even from a free to play perspective, you can't really see the end. But in Throne, even from a free to play perspective, you can see that, okay, I will eventually hit the cap if I'm just consistent.
Right.
And I think this might be the first Korean MMO where that respects your time, where you can actually kind of you can see the end.
Okay, I have to ask you, because we were debating this when we were watching your video, because it looked like you're kind of smart. Stoops is a really close friend of mine. Was that in reference to Stoops?
No,
it wasn't.
Maybe a little bit. Like
Okay.
I've heard this. I've heard the meme. Just for just a little meme.
Right. Okay. That's so funny.
But it does genuinely respect your time, like this game.
Yeah.
I think it does. Yeah.
I think it does too, and it's kind of interesting you say that, because as a content creator, for me, this is a game that I played extensively before it came out in the West, right? And this ties into the whole pay to win discussion, because it's like, people are going to look at the Lucent system, and like I even talked to students about this. We were talking about we're like, bro, Asmon's gonna shit on this. Like, so like people are gonna shit, like on paper, forget about the explanation, just like it's essentially kind of like a real money auction house, right? It's like you buy Lucent with money. Lucent is not farmed in game. Like every single Lucent that's in the economy, it's been purchased from a person, right? And then it just cycles through the game, which is another interesting aspect of Throne, because it's like we do auction bidding with our boss items. So it's like if I pay to win for that item, my money that I swiped is actually going to my guild members for them to purchase items. And then whatever tax is left, the tax is then the tax gets put into the castle siege, and the server's paying for the tax. So it's an interesting system. And like you said, there is a very visible hard cap, right? I mean, I've got my boy Solid FPS. I don't know if he's in chat, but he's got 2 purple weapons plus 9 fully traded, free to play. He's done. Like the only thing he can upgrade from a weapon perspective is if you wanted to change weapons to, let's say, an arc boss weapon, which, by the way, not all arc boss weapons are actually best in slot for your build, right? I honestly think the Nirma SNS is better than Queen Bellendir's SNS. They're certainly better at different things, right? So it's like when we talk about pay to win, it was very difficult for me because it's like the moment I start to try and explain how it works, it's like I'm immediately shilling and defending the game. Kanon, your channel relies on Throne to survive. I'm like, motherfucker, I've been covering MMO. I did Lost Ark and all these other games. I'm like, but because it is absolutely systematically pay to win, but there is a hard cap to it. A hard cap that you will reach, assuming that you're a committed player to the game as a free-to-play player. And I made sure to ask Tico, who's the main guy over there at Amazon that talks to NCSoft and they essentially negotiates / whatever with NCSoft to get changes made. He's very mindful of that fact, and he wants to make sure people are able to reach those caps before we go on to more vertical. So it's like, okay, well, it's systematically pay to win, but there's a cap that you will get to, and there's no other creative MMO in the market where you're ever reaching that cap. I think BDO is not that bad in terms of pay to win because there's a lot of skill involved, and like you said, later on, everyone gets really, kind of close, right?
I'm not too familiar how BDO is nowadays. I haven't played properly for a few years. I know they give new players free Black Star weapons.
Yeah,
I think that happened recently.
Mm-hmm.
But it used to be like the cap in that game used to be really high. I don't know how it is nowadays. It might be easier to reach.
Yeah, they definitely increased it, but yeah, essentially. Excuse me, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, because I've played in about, 8 months or so, but essentially you can get close enough with gear as a free-to-play player to the point where the power discrepancy is almost considered to be irrelevant.
We're talking about is the lack of pay for convenience. Like BDO, it's got a pay to win on top of a metric boatload of pay for convenience. It just feels mandatory. Before you can even enjoy the game. I know that in recent years though they have been giving out free pets and stuff to make it a bit better, but I think last time I played they had the tent, which felt pretty huge,
massive. I think it's imperative you have to get the tent.
I was actually really shocked to see that Throne didn't have pay for convenience.
So the pay to convenience, I'm really curious as to what an AGS does, but the pay to convenience in Throne was introduced with the Silicium's Blessing, which is essentially the value pack. And it's actually
we don't have that, right?
We don't have that. AGS, they made an announcement saying that they deliberately removed it from our version for now.
What does that contain, by the way?
So the first thing it contains, which is the biggest pay to win element of it, is you get 1 extra dungeon run a day.
Well, that's kind of huge.
Yeah. So outside of that, there are some additional items that you could purchase in the battle pass as well, like Silicium's Blessing exclusive items. So the battle pass shop where you can buy trade extraction stones or something, you can buy some extra stuff there. That's the other pay to win aspect of it. But the big thing with convenience that's tied to it is that you get double the preset slots for your gear equipment and double the preset slots for your skill build outs, because right now we only have 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, that comes with that. And you can access your storage anywhere. You can access a crafter from anywhere, and you can access a sundries merchant from anywhere.
Can you buy it with Lucent that you've earned in game?
No, you cannot. In Korea.
I mean, if you could buy it with Lucent that you've earned in game, it'd probably be okay. But
yeah,
it's so that's very convenient.
It's very convenient.
I hope that they don't bring that to our version, and I hope that they just give us the extra skill loadouts.
I do too.
3 is not enough.
Most people in my community say that they hope they just sell it for Lucent, flat Lucent. Maybe 500 Lucent a skill slot or something.
I think that'd be an okay compromise, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think and what you said there about the selling of the Silicium's Blessing for Lucent, I think that would be better, honestly, because then even if they left the extra dungeon run, that's just, you could just you could purchase that with Lucent. That would be the go-to, right? Because by the way, the cost of it works out to be about $15 for a month, because it's like they do it like 21 days for like 7 USD or something like that. So I think like local, it's like $10 local currency, which is like $8 USD, I think. So I think if they sold that blessing and you got everything with it for, let's say, 1,000 Lucent, then that's Omega value, obviously, right? That
If
could
they
be
did
an
add that, I wouldn't want them to add any other forms of pay to win, any
I
other
agree. Yeah.
cheeky things. That would be like, if they did anything more than that, I'd be taking the piss a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And I think you
Yeah.
should, right? I think it's important to voice that type of criticism, because it's that type of criticism which is the reason why these companies are kind of thinking like, should we, you know what I mean? It is important, as long as it's done in a constructive way, is what I tell my community. But yeah, I do think if they I do think that blessing, if should they choose to release it, they do need to remove the extra dungeon runs and the items from the battle pass. I do agree with that. Yeah. So so kind of backtracking here, Throne, like you're starting to really like Throne. Is there anything else that really has hooked you with Throne?
So it took me a while to get used to the combat. Like with the leveling.
Yeah.
I think the leveling in this game is actually horrible, especially after leveling a second character to 50 today. I can see why a lot of people, like, they get to level 50 and they just kind of call it a day. You need to get to level 50, then spend a few days at max level to really get used to your character and get used to the pacing of the game. The tempo and the speed of the game is a lot different to other MMOs. Like in other MMOs, you used to I'm kind of used to sprinting around a lot. In this game, you really need to save your sprint.
Yeah. Especially
You need
as
to be-
SNS, because you need that
Yeah.
stamina. Yeah.
But yeah, once you get used to it, the combat does feel really satisfying. As much as the combat has its issues, it's really impactful, and I like a lot of the animations. I don't like the animation locks. Like, I like how it feels to hit your abilities. I like when the crits pop up. I like Mage has a nice spell where you like charge up some giant fireball and it explodes. That feels good. The Great Sword has Guillotine Blade. That feels incredible when that lands. Just like the impactfulness of the combat is great. It's just a bit clunky. So there's aspects of the combat I really love, and there's aspects that can definitely be improved. Once I started to kind of get a feel for it, then I thought, okay, let's try joining a guild. And it was upon joining a guild and doing my first Riftstone GVG, and then I started to have fun. That's when the feeling of addiction, like, really started to creep in. And now now that I've joined a guild and I'm doing the GVG stuff, it's like really good fun every few days when there's an event on. So now I can see myself playing it for the foreseeable future.
I think the Riftstones and Boonstones, hands down, best content of the game, in my opinion. It's so incredibly fun. One of the issues that I see with Throne, however, and this has been a concern of mine on behalf of the game, for a long time, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And that is the aspect of winning and losing. No one likes to get mollywopped constantly. The reality is every server is eventually going to have one, at most two alliances that just dominate everything. And world boss conflicts, people are already starting to complain about this. And I understand the frustration. And of course you have people like the complaint is like, this guild, this Zerg, this alliance is zerging everything and it's not fun. And then the counter to that is like, we'll get better, bitch. Like,
That's a fair complaint. Definitely a fair complaint.
Yeah, because like
my friend was just leveling. I think he's like level 49, and he was trying to get to level 50, and there was a conflict world boss in the way of his quest, and he's just fucking blowing up my Discord DMs, saying, "Oh, I can't play the game. I'm gonna have to log out." So he's like logged out until the boss despawns before he can play again. So
yeah, I think it's a reasonable complaint, but at the same time, I don't know what the solution would be to it, because this is that, like you just said, like what hooked you was the Riftstones, right? What's hooking you is because you're competing against another formidable opponent. And I'm assuming, like, it wouldn't have been fun for you if you guys just mollywopped them, like 3 guys show up.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
You know,
you want a nice, close fight.
And I think the health of every server becomes way more fun if everyone feels like and are winning to some degree and losing to some degree. But that becomes incredibly difficult because you cannot expect the players to stymie their performance in efforts to save the server. Like, that just doesn't happen. But when that doesn't happen, you will always clearly get, like in NA right now, there's an alliance in the early access servers, hands down better than everyone else. They have they're filled with a bunch of people in leadership positions, especially that have experience from KR, and they are just better, and it's tough to compete with them. Right? Their individual players are progressed more average than most people because they know how to gear better and stuff like that. And it's just a bad experience for everyone that's on their server. But like, to their defense, it's like they want to be the best. You know, it's like this is like a throne simulator.
What would the solution be? Like, maybe more. Like in Korea, didn't they have the same problem earlier in Korea? Like, a few months after release, just one guild that dominated everything. I heard that they did something where they made some battles like anonymous or something.
Yeah, so it's, believe it or not, our version is actually way better in that regard than the original. So the original version, when I was playing, every conflict boss, every boonstone, every riftstone, those motherfuckers were not instanced. It was open world, and they came up at the same time. So we as an alliance, we were trying to take every boonstone when they came up. Like, we've secured this point. Guild A needs backup at Mana Waste. Boom. Set and then teleport over. Oh, we need backup at Azrael. Boom. You go there. But you know what I mean? It was fucking crazy. But the top 1 or 2 alliances would end up controlling everything. It was way worse. So now the only zergable content are the world conflict bosses and Siege. Everything else, it is within your guild, so it's way better. And by the way, the Dominion events too, where it's like red, green, blue, that was also zergable. Like, that was enough. It worked just like the world bosses, where the big alliance would come in and win everything in the Dominion events. So it has gotten better, and they are addressing that. They're aware of it. And there's a huge change that happened today. I missed it because I was asleep. But they changed Siege now in Korea to where you can no longer see who your enemies are, and they're all one color now too. So if you're outside, so anyone that's outside of your 4-guild alliance, they're going to be marked red while you're marked green, for example. Right? I can't remember the exact color thing.
The issue is a lot of alliances are much bigger than 4 guilds, aren't they?
100%.
The way it's worked on my server is people are marking their alliance guilds as hostile to, like, identify like who the allies are, which is completely how the system is not intended to work. So I'm not even too sure what you can do that, and it's causing a lot of confusion for people that are just joining guilds and they're kind of and they're new to the guild scene. They'll see a hostile target and they'll think, "Fuck, that's an enemy. I'm going to attack him."
Yeah,
because it's like the name shows up in orange.
Yeah.
which is what you'd assume to be the case,
right?
And then they're getting flamed by guild officers.
That's
it's
funny.
Like, no, that's an ally.
That's funny. Yeah. We actually did stuff like that in KR too, and it was a lot more large scale because there's only so many people that you can mark as that. But honestly, even if this fix or whatever addresses the 4+ guild alliance issue, where like Alliance 1 teams up with Alliance 2, making it an 8 guild alliance, even the 4 guild alliance situation can be problematic, because if you have 4 guilds that have a lot of active members that show up to the conflict bosses and are good, they're going to dominate. You know, like
you
that.
Cut out for a solid 10 seconds though.
Oh, really? Okay. What's the last thing you heard?
Even the 4 guild alliance.
Yeah, even the 4 guild alliance, even within just 4, like NA does a pretty good job not going past the 4 guild alliance, which is kind of impressive. In Asia, it was like, fuck it, Angle, we're going all the way. And it, like, by the way, my Siege, it was like 20 plus guilds v 20 plus guilds. It was insane. In NA, everyone's kind of sticks within the 4 guild limit, but within the 4 guild limit, you have guilds that are just way better and show up with way more numbers, right? Because a casual 4 guild alliance may only show up with like 100 to 150 people, which is not bad during prime time. But a hardcore 4 guild alliance, those motherfuckers are going to show up with like 250. That's 100 player discrepancy, and then they are deemed to be the Zerg, and they're the ones that are deemed to be killing the server, which I get, because there's nothing worse than going to a conflict boss and then you just get mollywopped, you can't do anything, right?
Yeah.
But like, what's
I'm
the
just
solution
trying to think, like, I feel like Black Desert Online didn't have this issue because the game had channels, whereas Throne doesn't have channels. So I don't know. Maybe they could look at Black Desert Online and see why that game didn't have this issue to the same extent.
Okay.
Because I feel like in BDO you would have like all of the world bosses spawn like roughly at the same time, and like one guild would go to one boss, another guild would go to another.
Yeah.
And they would despawn quite quickly, I think. And maybe you could like hop channels and kill a second boss.
Right. I think that the thing with channels, I don't think NCSoft's going to ever do it, because they've been very much hesitant to do anything that pushes the game towards instant space. It's very clear that the developers for Throne specifically want to try to preserve as much this is one world type of feel. They made that pretty clear during the meetup too. And also, anytime you deal with channels, I feel like it can be abused, and it can almost kind of kill the PvP, because it's like,
that's true.
The underlying factor with MMOs is that most people will, and this is just my personal opinion, most people will always prioritize progression, or more commonly prioritize progression over content, because progression is the main content in an MMO for most MMOs. And again, I'm not speaking in absolutes here, right? So it's like, there's so many more people I feel like that would be like, I would rather go to this world boss that's not contested to get my loot this time, and I can PvP later. You know what I mean? So then if you have channels, it might turn into this like, oh, we're just all going to dodge to like these free channels to try and get this.
I think it would be worse with channels overall.
Yeah.
Like the game feels so unbelievably populated with everyone on one server. It's like one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
So perhaps this is something. It's just maybe this is a player issue. I can't think of a good solution.
Right. This is the reason why I always thought Throne Liberty would just become a niche game. And that's just always been my opinion on it. Now for you, it doesn't sound like you're in a top alliance, right?
I think I'm in a decent alliance. I'm not too sure on like the state of the server. I think I'm in like a pretty good one.
Okay, so like when you go to conflict bosses and stuff, what is your experience? Like, are you guys having like pretty good fights to win that boss, or are you guys just mollywopping everyone or getting
I don't think we have the numbers for the world boss, so maybe I'm not in like the top 2. I think there's mega guilds doing that, so maybe I'm just outside of that.
Gotcha. So
we're mostly doing the Riftstone stuff.
So you're just doing like the regular peace bosses, and then you move on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our stuff's mostly like open world PvP, GVG on Saradoma Island, and the Riftstones so far.
Gotcha.
I know we've got plans to join the Castle Siege, and we have an alliance for that. But I don't think we've gone to too many world bosses.
Gotcha.
But there are some mega guilds on Stormbringer JP. I heard that like a massive guild's just transferred over, and apparently they've got like 8 guilds or something.
What guild is that? Jesus.
I don't know. I heard about it today, and it's caused our server to have a queue today. Like there was a queue to get in on our server, 140 player wait-in queue.
Really? You guys have a queue?
Really? Due to some people transferring over.
That's wild.
The game,
wait, it's not
the game felt rammed today.
You're on JP, you said, right?
Yeah,
it's
Stormbringer.
It's not the what guild alliance, are they?
What's it? Let me open
okay.
this.
I mean,
maybe
good luck if
watching.
it's what. That's a bad alliance, bro.
It might have been something like that. I'm not sure.
That's a bad alliance.
I think everyone's asleep, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
They're all in Australia. They're like 4 a.m. out there.
If it is the what alliance, I have very, very little respect for those guys. They're like they're very toxic, but they AFK macro bot like very badly. Like it's really bad. And they just come in with massive. They were the ones that were rolling on KR, and we had a big war with them. Those were our opponents in the first Castle Siege, and we beat them, and they hate me for it.
Then maybe the whole server needs to team up against them. Then maybe that's the only way.
Oh, that would be the only option. So what happened
They're
was
like a scourge.
when I played in KR, it was the Westerners versus the Koreans. And then they merged servers, and then the server that was merged into us was a server that pretty much everyone was under just their alliance, right? Outside of one other alliance, which was smaller. And that was the What Alliance. And then they came into our server and they wanted a 1v1v1 fight. What we all pretty much agreed, okay, let's see how the battles go first. And after the first battle, it was very, very obvious that their alliance combined was like similar to, or their alliance was similar to us and the Koreans combined. So we're like, this is like of course they want 1v1v1. So the Koreans reached out to us and like they're like, let's team up. And we accepted, and it was us versus them. They got really upset at that, called us the Zerg, which was ironic. They literally had a 20 plus guild alliance on their server, free farming with no opposition, next to no opposition. And then they were pissed off at us for teaming up against. And then we, fast forward into the future, we ended up taking rank 1, securing the castle, and winning the first castle siege against them. We had around 800 people in our alliance. And there was 2,334 people in our castle siege. That number was provided by NCSoft because we had the biggest castle siege out of every server. And what if what we're talking about isn't even a problem? Because what you just described to me, it sounds like a fucking war story. It is.
Like, that sounds really cool. Like that's a story that you're gonna remember. Because there was a group of people that's pissed everyone off on the server, and you've had to do something about it.
Yeah.
Maybe the more developers get involved, the less interesting it is. The more guardrails they put up, it would maybe have stopped you from doing something and creating those memories.
You're 100% right. The memories that we all got from that experience, it was something that I'll never forget. Because that siege that we won, the world chat was faster than Kai Cenat's chat for like half an hour. It was just flying. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so many emotions. You know, every single person, whether you were with them or us, we wanted that castle so bad because of that story. And it was getting heated, right? It was getting really heated.
I think you need a bad guy. You sometimes
100%.
you need a bad guy to make
You're
it
right.
interesting.
You're 100% right. You're 100%
I remember a
right.
few years back when BDO was like popping off. It just recently released. They did the server merge. I know NA had this drama with I think Lakari back in the day made a fantastic series called Game of Guilds.
Yeah.
The best fucking MMO content on YouTube I've ever watched. It's so good. But I think they made like a mega guild, and they had like a bunch of alliances. And I remember watching it, and the amount of drama, I think people would do podcasts after Siege, flaming each other, and it's stuff that you never forget. At the time, maybe like people are genuinely pissed off, but it's all about the story of the server.
It is.
And on EU, I had a similar thing. I joined a guild that was kind of hated at one point because we just sat in Valencia Castle for months, and then all of a sudden the server decided to make a big alliance, and we did like a 1v6 castle siege defense. The siege lasted 4 hours. It was the most fun I've ever had in an MMO. So what can you do as a developer to maybe you shouldn't do anything. Maybe you should just give players the tools or the incentive to do something about it for the people that take over a server. Like, maybe if there's a massive alliance that takes the castle and they just sit there for a prolonged period of time, what the devs could do is like maybe provide more and more incentive for people to take the castle off of them,
Right.
either by leveling the playing field, maybe with like a debuff or something, like attackers get 5%
Sure.
extra damage or something. They can do stuff like that
Sure.
to keep things interesting.
Sure. Yeah, they actually have made some adjustments to the Castle Siege specifically. Back in the day when we did it, you can anyone could take control of the golems that were outside fighting. Now only attackers could take it. But yeah, I think you're right. There's more stuff that they can do to level that playing field. But I'd love to. I'm looking forward to seeing your experience and review on the Castle Siege if you have one. Kind of. Hold on. There's not actually. I could probably go on that conversation for a while now, but just to kind of shift gears here, how progressed are you right now with your character in Throne? How many hours in would you say?
I think I'm about 200 hours at the moment. I've swiped a little bit. I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie.
Okay. I mean,
But
you're
I'm
doing
also
well on YouTube. You should, right?
but I'm also like min maxing everything. Like
Okay.
every resource that I can get, I'm expending it
Okay.
every single day. I'm not even letting my dailies stack up. So my main character, my SNS greatsword is 3,470 gear score.
Woo! Peon, hold on. Are you joining our alliance? I mean, shit, you need to use the server transfer and join us. But just so you know, our guild was called Tanks and Liberty, and we've just gone a full SNS guild. Like we have
Full
so
guild
many.
of that. I was thinking
Almost.
that'd be so fucking cool to do. I was thinking surely that'd just
Yeah.
be the strongest guild in the game.
Oh, it is. That's why, like, our guild, we have like 35 SNS users and we have like 35 healers. Of course, there's
Literally
overlap.
unkillable.
Like, there's overlap, and we have like 15 DPS. 15 DPS. There's overlap with SNS and the healers, right? Because you can be SNS wand, which is a healer as well, right? It's like we have like 30 to 35 healers. It's crazy. And we have like 15 DPS. So we suck when it comes to getting loot at peace bosses, because we just like our healers are the ones getting all the loot. But yeah, it's yeah, we need to get you on our side, man. Like, Jesus, 3.4, god damn, man, that's insane.
I did an experiment in the past 24 hours. So I think it was probably about 24 hours ago. I wanted to level up an alt character because I wanted to try Staff Longbow, because in previous MMOs I loved playing backline DPS like mage, getting all the kills. So I spent $40, by the way, on this new character. I got it to level 50 pretty quickly, and it's already at 2.35 within 24 hours. But this was me avoiding all of the mistakes that I made the first time when I leveled up, because the first time I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was upgrading every blue straight into the random purple. I didn't know what I was doing, wasting resources. But this time, like when you know what you're doing and you follow a build, like a leveling build, and then transition it properly, but you buy the correct traits, you stay in greens for the right amount of time, you can gear up so fast.
So much better. There's definitely a huge advantage to being efficient with your gear in this game. 100% there is. Yeah. What would you say your biggest turnoffs were on this game in the earlier stages?
The jumping puzzles and the grappling made me want. I hated that during the leveling, like during the early game, it was atrocious. I think that has made my friend who I'm playing with like rage quit multiple times.
Really? How long did you feel like you had to go until you started enjoying the game? Like, I know you said that the Rift Stones is what really got you hooked, but clearly you saw some light at the end of the tunnel even before the Rift Stones, right? What point was that for you?
So I started playing during the early access periods. I think like the first 3 days where I was just leveling to 50, and I just hit 50. I wasn't having too much fun. And then 2 days after that, I was at 50. I didn't really get it. I wasn't really finding the fun. And then I think I started doing a few dungeons. And once I started to understand some of the dungeon mechanics, and I started to see a few of the cool, interesting mechanics the game has, that's when I just kind of gave it more of a chance. That's when I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm,
Death's Abyss dungeon. It was like the first one I was doing,
okay.
and once I mastered that, I thought, this feels pretty good. Feels satisfying. I think it was the Q block on the boss, like
Okay.
nailing the boss's mechanics, getting the Q block down.
Mm.
It felt really satisfying. And then following that, it was seeing, okay, the progression in this game. There's not really any crazy RNG. It's not gonna consume my life. I can play for 2 hours a day, or I can just not play at all and then just do all of my dailies and catch everything up on day 5. It's it was that which made me persist with the game.
So I have to ask you now. You have a much better understanding of the game, and maybe some more insight, via this conversation with Throne Liberty. What do you think? What do you think the future of Throne is now?
I think it's definitely got a lot more mass appeal than almost every other Korean MMO I've played because the PvE in the game's pretty good. I don't know what's coming in KI. I think you've said that there's difficult 20-man raids, like proper raiding coming soon, right?
So they're 12 man raids, PvE
12-man
raids
raids.
that will have legendary gear, as far as I know. That's in January. There's a 24-man BG Battlegrounds that's coming out, and I think next week or this week, next week, they have a 24/7 PvP island that's coming out, which
Ooh.
is where you go to farm upgrades for your artifacts, which is the next vertical progression system, which is just like, it's very similar to the pie system in BNS. Those little fucking thing. Yeah,
Mm.
kind of like that.
I think in terms of content, there's a lot of good things coming. I think what would really take this game to the next level is if they could fix the fundamental issues that would make people quit before they get the game.
Mm.
I'm talking things like the movement, the just general things that make the gameplay feel better early on. Like I'm currently making a big list of all the
Mm.
combat stuff that feels bad. By the way, do you have any way of talking to NCSoft to give feedback? Is there any kind of avenue for feedback between the players
Yeah,
and the devs?
there is. The KR way is they have a Discord, and if you're in the Discord and you post the thing, you will actually get a response from the mod. This is the official NCSoft Korean Throne Liberty Discord, and they will acknowledge it. They will say, "We got it. We've passed it." I personally think the best way, especially you as a content creator, is to get in touch with people at Amazon and have them push it, because as far as I know, they are pushing it. And the guy that's in charge of pushing NCSoft for those changes, his name is Tico, the guy that I interviewed, and he has a lot of experience with the game, like very, very good experience with the game. So it's good to have that person on the ground. So those will be the two ways: to go to the Korean Discord, post it, or talk to some people at AGS. I can put you in touch with Tom or one of those guys, and see if you can get
I
that
think
feedback
something
down.
that would be good is if the developers like came out with a list of things that they're working on improving, because a lot of the reason why I'm persisting with this game is with the assumption that it gets better, with the assumption that these things that are driving me crazy at times, the precision dash bug, getting stuck on terrain constantly, I'm hoping that this stuff gets fixed in the future. I'm just kind of assuming it will, considering that they've made a lot of good changes already. So I think that would maybe earn them a little bit more patience from the community if they were to just be a bit transparent on issues that they're aware of and things that they're working on.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Last question. Okay. What? So Ashes of Creation is coming out pretty soon. The Alpha 2, right? I think it's coming
Yeah.
out in like 4 days. That's still on, right? By the way, I've heard rumors like they're gonna NDA it or some shit. Do you know anything about
I'm
that?
I'm not sure. I haven't been in the Discord. I've heard like rumors that they're gonna stop the NDA, but I don't think there's been an official announcement about it yet, has there?
No news yet. Okay, gotcha.
No.
Are you going to be playing the Alpha 2? Surely you're going to be playing the Alpha 2, right?
Yeah, I'll be playing the Alpha 2. Whether or not it's ready for a video is another thing. I'm expecting day one to be unplayable because
Mm,
it usually is for something where everyone's logging in. I'm expecting it to take a few days for the servers to be good because this is the first time it's been tested for a long time.
right.
So I'll be playing it, but I won't make a video on it until I can play it
Sure.
without it shutting down constantly.
Sure.
We'll see.
That's fair. That's fair. What do you think, man? Is there I know we talked a lot about Throne, but shifting gears here a little bit to Ashes because that is kind of the next big thing coming.
Mm.
What do you think, man? Are we gonna actually see it? Is it actually a scam? Is it not a scam? Is it gonna be the next big? What is it?
I don't think it's a scam. It's the game has taken a lot longer than anyone thought would be possible, which makes sense. It is one of the most ambitious games ever made. Like on paper, the reason why I've kind of been patient with it is on paper it's got everything that I'd want in an MMO. It's got like a lot of player friction and a lot of room for interesting stories to be created, like the war stories that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of that with Ashes. I like the direction combat's going at the moment. If you look at the most recent class that they released, the Bard, that looks really good. Like super fluid movement. It doesn't seem like the combat's going to be clunky. I just think it's just gonna take a while. Every time anyone's ever asked me, Craig, when's Ashes of Creation releasing? For the past 5 years, I've said, within 3 years. And every fucking year, I say the exact same thing. Within 3 years, I've been saying Ashes is coming out in 3 years for the past 5 years, and I still think it's going to be another 3 years for a
Really?
full
You think
release.
so? Do you really? Oh my gosh. Stop saying it. Give us a different number. Say like 2 or something.
Maybe 2.5 if we're lucky.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what's going to be okay, so excluding Ashes, what do you think is going to be the biggest MMORPG launch of 2025? Assuming
Arcade
all those
2 is
games come
supposed
out.
to be coming out.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going to be delayed because they haven't really shown enough for that to be a game that's coming out in a year.
Okay.
If that makes sense. But they've said that the release date is 2025.
Yeah.
So that one, if it does release, I don't think there's much else coming next year.
What about Chrono Odyssey?
Again, I don't think it's going to release in 2025.
Okay.
And I think they've said that it will, won't it?
Yeah, apparently, yeah, supposedly.
But usually for an MMO that's coming within a year, people are playing it. Like there's usually testing phases, and then it will release like a year later after the first testing phase.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I kind of get the feeling that we might not get both of those titles next year too. But I do know a couple of content creators that have tested some early versions of Chrono Odyssey. But yeah, not much to go off of. I'm really excited for Arcade though.
Yeah, I was excited for Arcade, and then I looked into it, and I'm less excited because my most recent video was Arcade 2. Came out yesterday.
I'm gonna watch.
Yeah,
I'm actually planning on reacting to that right after this.
I was kind of researching it, and there's a few. I don't think if you're a Throne player, I don't think it's going to offer the same thing.
Really?
They're not going for the large scale PvP.
Okay.
So
I mean that's okay. My favorite game of all time, by the way, is Vanilla Arcade. Of all time.
I think the way I've interpreted it, all of the information that's available for Arcade 2 so far is it's going to be a bit like an Asian New World because they're going for a full Souls-like combat system.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like if you go on the Steam page, it literally says Souls-like in the tags.
Oh, wow.
And then the developer interviews, they're talking about how they see like MMO combat as being like inferior to single-player games. So they're definitely going with that kind of combat system, which doesn't work at large scale. It just simply doesn't.
What did you try the new reboot of New World, the Eternum?
To be honest, I played it for a bit because they sponsored me to do like a guide, like an overview of the weapons.
Uh-huh.
And I do enjoy New World, and I've played a lot of New World. I think I've got like 700 hours in New World in total. There's the thing with New World is there's not anything that keeps me playing. I don't feel addicted to New World. I've never felt addicted to New
Is it
World
because
other
of the
than when
combat?
the combat's fun, but the more seriously you take it, the worse it is.
Mm.
If you was to just chill in the world, go kill mobs, cut trees, be immersed, it's fine, but it feels really bad the more serious you take it, like with the
Okay.
stagger and stuff. And the thing that I like in MMOs is the large scale PvP.
Mm.
I think I did a few of those fortress sieges in the early days of New World, and it was kind of scuffed, to be honest.
Really? Okay. I can't speak to that. I haven't played New World extensively like that. Just the early level, impressions. It never
Another
really
reason
stick
I
with
don't
me
play
too.
is the armor just looks ugly in that game.
Yeah.
Like even the cosmetics they're selling on the cash shop, I'm like, bro, I ain't buying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess it's the style. Like Throne has really cool looking armor. I think all Asian MMOs do actually,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Do you like the new Halloween skins in Throne?
I like the weapon skins. I don't like the outfit.
Yeah. 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 Do you play
Yeah.
male character or female character?
Male.
You play, yeah, me too. Yeah, the male character skins just kind of try. I feel like that I'm still using the same male skin character skin that I've been using for like the past 6 months in KR, and it's pretty cool. It's got like a little samurai hat and like kind of like badass armor. But yeah, the female character skins, a lot of the newer ones are starting to get better. They've kind of gone like a Lost Ark approach with skins. They're starting to pivot that direction, but
I
yeah.
think it like depends on the class as to whether or not I'll play a male or a female. Like if I'm playing like a great sword dude with a big sword and shield, I want the big chunky shoulder pads. I want to look
Yeah.
like a Giga Chad. But if I'm playing like a witch or something, like a sorceress, then I want my character to look like a
Okay.
filthy whore.
Then the Halloween costume is pretty good for that, right? Is your alt a
I actually
female
haven't
character?
seen the female one.
It's good.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the female character costume I think is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
BDO was always good for that.
BDO had great skins.
Mm.
They had great skins. Well, I see you're a fellow man of culture. That's good to see. That's good to see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I'm not gonna hold you too long. I know we've gone a little bit over. I really appreciate your time and taking time to do this with me. Is there anything else that you want to add before we close this one out?
No, it was nice. It was nice talking to you. Yeah, maybe we should talk more often. I think something that would be really cool is if you was to make a video talking about all of the upcoming content
Okay.
for Throne Liberty. I'd personally love to see that from you because myself, I'm kind of clueless as to what's coming.
Gotcha.
So maybe if there's some cool content, it'd give me like more reason to keep progressing as well as other people.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's actually a fantastic idea. You're
Yeah,
at the top of the
that's the
YouTube game
next bit.
for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will do that. I will actually do that. Give me some time. I will publish that. But as far as this
Yeah.
interview goes, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Also, please go follow this man. I will have all of his socials linked in the description. Thanks for watching.
Sweet. Cheers. Have a good one.